Hello, I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and welcome to Surviving Bad, where we explore stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. Today we're going to get an inside look at a new project developed by the Iowa Narcotics Officers Association called What You Don't See. It's a realistic simulation of a typical teenager's bedroom. This may not sound like something you'd generally be interested in, until as a parent or caregiver, you realize all the secrets and danger signs that can be hidden in plain sight. According to the Iowa Youth Survey, 3 out of 4 high school students in Iowa know how and where to find drugs and other illegal substances in your community. Even good kids come in contact with dangerous substances. This is one way to see if they are finding their way into your home and family. We're joined by 2 leaders of this important project, Doug Hurley and Shauna Isaac. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
To start us out, Doug, can you tell us about the association, how it began, and what your mission is?
Yeah, the association began in 2004. We had a DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration supervisor, that it came to a group of our state narcotics agents and said, we need to start up an association. There are other associations that were already started throughout the United States, and it was a way to get task force officers together as well as local police officers, state and county. So we formed a small association board, which was members of federal, state, local law enforcement, also county. And in 2004, we had our first conference. At that first conference, we had less than 100 people that attended the event. And then after that, we've continued to grow, where we are now at 550 members, and we put a maximum capacity of 300 people at each one of our yearly conferences.
And this sort of signals a shift from like old school policing to new ideas and innovations and way to sort of take the pressure off of just arresting people but contributing to solutions. Is that right?
Absolutely. Our conference is not specific just to a narcotics officer. Our conference is an overall law enforcement investigation style conference. We teach techniques and different ideas on how to conduct interviews and interrogations, how to do search warrants at a residence. We talk about officer survival. We also talk about different cases that are of significance in history, such as the Ferguson police shootings we've talked about. We had Victor Vasquez talk about the capture of El Chapo Guzman. We had Javier Pena and Steve Murphy from the popular Netflix show Narcos come in and talk about how they were able to track down and catch Pablo Escobar.
How do I join? Sounds like fun.
It's an easy way to join.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be talking about that later on the segment. But yeah, it's a great way to outsource a lot of our resources that we have to bring in all these different instructors. And then we also have a great networking that goes on there at the event, where we have all 300 law enforcement officers that are there, and we talk about significant cases that we've dealt with within the state of Iowa, and it allows us to build on our relationships that we have with all of the other people that are there.
And one of the things that's come out of that is this What You Don't See project.
Yes.
Shauna, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the What You Don't See project was born as our association was sitting around talking about ways that we can take this training that we do for the law enforcement community and make it go a little bit further outreach and really touch the end user, the people in the communities statewide. And so we're talking as a group at one of our meetings about different things that we've seen, things that have been effective, things that we would consider to be limitations. Basically, it was a meeting where everything is on the table for consideration. And we came up with the hidden in plain sight concept. But one of the big limitations with that is that it's time consuming to set up and tear down. A lot of times when they're put into practice, it might be moderated by a teacher or a volunteer who maybe doesn't have the in-depth drug knowledge that a law enforcement professional would. And so that's where we really took off from it, or ways that we can streamline it, set up and tear down quickly, always moderated by a professional, and then turning it into a full circle concept, because we didn't want it to be something where we open a parent's eyes and scare the bejesus out of them and then send them away on their own. We really wanted to provide resources and a what next answer.
So you have a place where you recreate a bedroom, and you're teaching parents and other concerned citizens what could be hidden there, how it could be hidden, and how to spot danger signs in the family.
Absolutely.
And you took it from just a big setup to something that's in a trailer.
Yeah, and it's fast. It meets all of our requirements. It's fast to set up and tear down. It could literally go from one corner of the state on one day to the complete opposite on the next. And it's fully available to law enforcement and therefore the communities that they serve statewide.
And I heard you go all over the state, and it's free.
It's free.
and law enforcement brings it to communities, and parents can come, educators, any adult can come and look at this?
Right, so our requirement for this to be hosted is that it has to be hosted by the local law enforcement entity, because this is meant to be a vehicle for community outreach and education. So the local jurisdiction has to host it. Because it's free and everything's literally ready to go, we've done all the work, they just need to be the moderators for it. It's been very well received. And then they need to be a member of our association, and largely that's for insurance purposes.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing this much. We'll come back after the break and get back to it. When we return, we'll talk with Sean and Doug about changes in narcotics enforcement. They just don't necessarily throw people in jail. They're trying to help solve the problem. You don't want to miss this.
Many teenagers don't understand the dangers and effects of marijuana use. Now it's time for Just the Facts, ma'am. An IQ is a score determined from standardized tests to determine intelligence. An IQ of 100 puts the average person in the 50th percentile of intelligence. Regular marijuana use during teenage years can cause a long-term 8-point drop in IQ. A loss of 8 IQ points drops them to the 29th percentile. For more information, go to drugfreeiowa.org.
My dad thinks he can fix anything, but at least once a day, we catch him doing that with our modem. Like things would magically be faster if he could just get it high enough. He doesn't get that it's our phony internet. Looks like I'm gonna have to fix this one. Siri, get me faster internet.
Okay, calling Mediacom now.
Drop the phony internet and get a real deal. Add Mediacom Internet 60 for just $14.99 a month for a year. Call today.
Watching your sister go through withdrawal is the last thing you expect to do. You hope she gets past it, but worry she'll relapse. The story of addiction is all too familiar, but you can change it.
That's 2 out of 3.
If you or someone you know is in recovery from addiction, share your story with the partnership at drugfree.org, because your story can change someone else's.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. We're talking with Shauna and Doug about a new project in Iowa called What You Don't See, and how it's helping parents protect their children and their homes from dangerous substances and risks children often don't recognize.
What's your name? Ashley. Hi, Ashley. How many kids do you have at home? 2. Great. 2 boys, I take it? Yes. Okay, before you went into the trailer here of What You Don't See, what was your thoughts? Were you well prepared to identify the things that are either concealment for drug use, drug references, or drug paraphernalia?
Not really at all.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about your experience as you came through this trailer?
It was very good, very informative. I got to see all kinds of things that I wouldn't even think. Belt buckle that was open, looking inside of cans, looking in shirts, looking in hats, everything that you would typically think of, oh yeah, it's legit, it's not, you have to check everything, feel things, look in shoes, everything.
So my question to you, as a parent leaving this trailer, do you feel empowered to go home and make sure that your kids are doing what they should be and keeping them in check?
For sure.
Great.
I'm very confident.
We appreciate you coming out today.
Thank you.
Please spread the word about this trailer so we get more parents to come through. Thanks.
Yep, thank you.
You just had a look at someone that went through the trailer and they shared their experience. Now, Doug, you have a little bit of backstory to that interview, don't you?
Yeah, I was actually there that day, and we were at the Iowa State Fair. This was the second day that we were there. And essentially what happens is when you begin with the trailer, you start at the mood setter, which is a video that plays. We have 2 individuals there that talk about some of the struggles that they had in life. One female in particular, she had lost her son from a drug overdose. And once they watch that video, they take a survey and they walk in and after that mood setter and they go into what's called the experience. And they experience the inside of that trailer and they see all of the different hidden areas that we have and the different stash locations and the different types of paraphernalia. Once they exit that, they go to what's called the Resource Center, which is where we saw this lady standing at the end. The Resource Center is very nice because it allows us to have a good conversation with the family or the person that comes walking out. And it's really interesting, and I think that that's a crucial role that we have there at that end location, is because that's when the parents come out, and if they have a problem with their children, they'll talk to you in law enforcement, and we explain to them what we can do to help them out and what way we can help them with prevention or also with treatment. And we had a number of people that came to us at the end and they wanted to talk to us about that.
Sean, I've also heard that it's a very emotional experience for some people and that there's more than just a few tears shed.
That's absolutely the best way of putting it. Everyone comes in with a certain expectation. They come in with a certain pre-existing background, and therefore everybody reacts a little bit differently. I was at the trailer almost every single day that it was at the fair, and I can tell you there were some people that would start crying during the introduction video. There were some people that would start shedding tears during the experience, and then there were others that would lose it at the very end during the resource. So we know that it was making an impact, but that's because, you know, it's impacting their lives. It's something they're living and walking through every day. It's not just a concept on paper.
And this really is a culmination of years and years of law enforcement work to be able to put together something like this.
Absolutely it is.
What are some of the things that sort of people learn there, like some of the things they experience? If you can disclose a little bit of something, and what have been some of the more dramatic experiences people have had inside the trailer?
I think that the eye-opener for them is when they look at some of the brands of clothing that we have in there and they identify that their children have those same type of brands, and then we explain to them that that brand in particular has hidden concealment areas in it, and they're able to locate those, and then they find out that they've been buying this as Christmas gifts for their children for a period of time, not knowing that the children were using them to hide stuff in them. And we also showed them where they could hide stuff in different deodorant containers and Pringles chips cans. We showed them the different types of paraphernalia, which most people wouldn't even recognize as drug paraphernalia because it's so easily concealed as jewelry. And I think that the eye-opener to a lot of those people is when they walk in there with us and we point things out that they normally would just pick up and set back down. One individual I want to say, we had a female that came through. It was a mother and her daughter. Her daughter was about 14. And they came to the back and they were talking to me at the back, and the mother asked, "What is this about?" And I told her it's about walking into your child's bedroom and identifying their hidden areas. The daughter said to the mom, "Hey, I don't want to do this. We don't have time for this." The mom said, "How long does it take?" And I said, "You'll be in and out in less than 10 minutes. The daughter says again, "Mom, I don't want to do this." The mother looked at the daughter and she was very stern with her, and she said, "You're going to go sit down on those chairs over there." And she goes, "I'm going through this." The daughter kind of rolled her eyes and went and sat down, and I would love to know what the mom found when she actually got back to the house.
Boy, that's the kind of thing that can really help a parent when they're scared about what their children are doing. Shauna, when you're out there and working with people, are there reservations? Like you talked about, a daughter didn't want to go in. Are their parents afraid to go in?
There are some that are afraid, but honestly, the vast majority of the people that approach, you know, they're curious to begin. And then once we start really talking to them, explaining and telling them that it doesn't have to be just your child, it can be a child that's in your life, whether if you're a teacher and it's your students, whether it's a niece or a nephew or a third cousin twice removed, it doesn't matter. If there's a child in your life that you have concern or interest in maybe interjecting on behalf of, then this is the experience for you. The other thing we really like to show them when they're inside is how readily available this stuff is to anybody. And most of this stuff does not have an age restriction when purchasing, whether it be local or online. And that, I think, is probably the other real big eye-opener for us is they're just floored at how easy it is for kids to get their hands on this stuff.
Well, thank you for sharing this. We'll continue this discussion after the break. When we come back, we're going to take a closer look at how you can connect with this new and unique program and learn how to keep your children and family safe. See you after the break.
You wouldn't walk through the halls of your school naked. Yet without thinking, many teens sext explicit photos of themselves to friends using cell phones, never thinking it'll go further. But once you hit send, you're exposed. You're out there in cyberspace for everyone to see. Sexting, it's dumb, it's dangerous, and it's against the law.
My mom thinks hashtags are something you eat with eggs. She legit has a meltdown every time her phone updates. Last week, she asked me to explain chat snap. So of course, she chose the absolute wrong internet provider, and now we have the slowest internet ever.
Escape Planet Slow and get a real deal. Add Mediacom Internet 60 for just $14.99 a month for a year. Call today.
After Kylie used coke, she stopped caring about school, friends, or who she had to steal from to get more of it. The story of addiction is all too familiar, but you can change it.
Sleeping in, Dad?
If you or someone you know is in recovery from addiction, share your story with the partnership at drugfree.org, because your story can change someone else's.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. We're with Doug and Shauna from the Iowa Narcotics Officers Association, talking about something important to all Iowans, keeping your children and homes safe from dangerous substances. Watch what's coming up. Shauna, I'd asked you, where do kids get all this stuff? How do they find it? Where do they find most of the stuff that parents are looking at and just going, oh my God?
You know, it's going to be our new age-old answer of the internet. You know, we live in a technological age. Almost every kid nowadays has a phone. They have access to Google Shopping. They have access to Amazon.com. So a large majority of the props that we have in this trailer were purchased on Amazon. The other majority were probably mostly at shops in the Des Moines area, some outlying suburbs.
So if you have a child on Amazon looking to buy stuff, they could be buying things that are helping them hide drugs?
They absolutely could be, but one of the things we teach parents in this experience is that they're marketed under a different name. They might be marketed as a valuables container or as skateboard stickers or as something else if we're talking imagery items. So it's not going to just say hide your drugs here.
So parents really do need to keep an eye on where their kids are shopping and what they're buying.
Absolutely.
And this is a big connection that comes from people coming to the trailer.
Absolutely. Even if you look at, we'll use Colorado as an example and their medical marijuana or their recreational marijuana now. If you look at the packaging that they have for all of that, that's to be a desirable package to the eye of the user. And that's what we show is there are many different desirable packages that are in here. To the eye of the user, looks like it is legitimate, but until you pick it up and look at it, then you find that it's not a legitimate item. For instance, we have a credit card in there. And unless you grab that credit card and you pick the credit card up, you won't understand or feel that it is actually a sealed bag that can contain the drugs on the inside of it. But on the outside of it, looking at it, it looks like a credit card.
Well, I know when we were looking at synthetic marijuana, you know, children were coming home and saying, well, this is a bath salt or this is incense.
Absolutely.
And for all practical purposes, parents said that's what they thought it was. That's what it said in the label.
That's right. And I think that a lot of people don't want to look at things like that because what they don't know won't hurt them. And what we're trying to teach the parents is what you don't know is going to hurt you. And what you don't see is right there in front of you. And we want you to learn what's going on in that house.
Well, I have a few gray hairs. And I mean, I do remember hiding stuff from parents. But never have I recognized the kind of sophistication you're referring to. I'm betting that the average parent today has no idea these products even exist.
But they don't. You know, actually, when we launched this program, during our press conference, we had the governor and lieutenant governor inside with us. And the governor was very taken back at some of the items that we had there, even the female hair care products, not knowing that those things could be utilized. And once we started to show her these are the different areas that they can conceal them or this is what it's used for, it really is an eye-opener for even a person of a new parent or somebody that's had children for a long period of time.
And you mentioned one reaction by a teenage girl that didn't want to go in. Do you have some kids that go through, some teenagers that go through with their parents?
No, no one under the age of 18 is allowed to go through. Okay. And that's set up so we're trying to teach the parents. The kids are able to find it a lot easier than the parents, so they go online and research this. We're telling the parents, we're going to show you what you need to be looking for.
Now, as you referred to Colorado, there's a huge amount of deception there in homes because even legal marijuana is not legal under the age of, what is it, 18 or 21 in Colorado?
18.
It's 18. So, and there's a huge number of children under the age of 18 using marijuana in Colorado. So they must obviously have a fine art in being able to hide things from their parents.
Absolutely they do. And it's a different world in Colorado. I just got back from there last week. I was at the Colorado Drug Investigators Association conference, and it's a whole different world in Colorado. Everywhere that you look, you're seeing some type of medicinal marijuana or recreational marijuana. There's businesses that are popped up everywhere, and there's more marijuana stores than you see restaurants along some streets.
I've heard there are more marijuana dispensaries in Denver than McDonald's and Starbucks combined.
That is true.
So now we're looking at a lot of changes in Iowa, and it's sort of a good thing for parents to learn about this before they come here. I mean, it's time. What are the most popular drugs kids are hiding in their rooms today?
It just depends on where you're at, what part of the state you're in. Methamphetamine, marijuana, prescription drugs, that's your main 3 drugs that we deal with. Then we're starting to move into the heroin, cocaine, ecstasy, LSD, psilocybin mushrooms. Oh yeah, absolutely.
When we get back at the break, I want to hear more about this. And after a short break, we're going to invite Doug and Sean to share some of their comments and advice that may help you save your own child's life. You don't want to miss this. Right through there.
You have to help her! Help her!
Hey, Sam, can you hear me? Looks like an overdose. Do you know what she was taking?
She doesn't do drugs. Her friends don't do drugs.
No. Listen, we're just trying to save your daughter's life. Any idea?
Going to the movies, son. See you later.
Bye, Sam. Sam, wake up!
Sharing. I mean, I don't mind it when there's enough to go around. Toys with Charlie? Okay. My mint ice cream? Fine. Our slow internet with my whole family at the same time? That's pushing a man too far.
Get unlinked and get a real deal. Add Mediacom Internet 60 for just $14.99 a month for a year. Call today.
I thought texting friends on her cell phone was harmless.
But there she is, our daughter, topless for everyone to see.
I'm so embarrassed for her. I can't even imagine what she must be feeling. How did this happen?
What was she thinking?
Someone sent our teenage son a photo of a naked classmate. If he forwards it, it's a crime.
Our son committing a crime? I had no idea.
And he could be labeled a sex offender.
Tell your teen, sexting is a crime.
My dad thinks he can fix anything. But at least once a day, we catch him doing that with our modem. Like things would magically be faster if he could just get it high enough. He doesn't get that it's our phony internet. Looks like I'm gonna have to fix this one. Siri, get me faster internet.
Okay, calling Mediacom now.
Drop the phony internet and get a real deal. Add Mediacom Internet 60 for just $14.99 a month for a year. Call today.
Law enforcement is certainly changing in Iowa, and the What You Don't See project is one of the exciting new innovations reaching out to Iowa communities. Let's hear what our experts have to share and the advice they may have that can help you save a life. Shauna, how do people get in contact with you and get a chance to get into this trailer?
Probably the easiest way would be going to our website, whatyoudon'tsee.com. And from there, we've got a great just variety of resources, from links that can help with drug addiction to links that can put you in touch with area coalitions in your neck of the woods to schedule an event now. I'll throw out there this project, as I mentioned earlier, has to be hosted by local law enforcement, but if you don't currently have a connection with your local law enforcement, you can still request that it come to your community, and we will give that request to your local law enforcement on your behalf.
Now, how many, I'm not trying to test you, but what were some of the communities you've been in this year? Because it's just new, it's only been out a few months now.
Yep, so we've had it literally in every corner of the state so far. We have it up at the Clay County Fair right now. Of course, the Iowa State Fair. We've had it in Carlisle, Shelby County, down in Cass County, all the way up to Sioux City. So we've covered some ground, and I'm really pleased to say we've already got the request for 2019 stacking up.
Where do you expect to be in the coming months around Christmas time and fall and next spring?
So we've got requests that are currently scheduled for Pella, for Indianola. We've got one, I don't want to give away too much because we're working on getting it scheduled down in the southern regions of the state right now as well. It's just literally, it's coming in from every corner, and it's been a fantastic response.
So obviously you had a great response from the governor's office. How about law enforcement throughout the state? How many people work with your organization, and how many people are out there clamoring for you to come to their communities?
We have 550 people in the Narcotics Officers Association, and we have a large number of them that are requesting to have the trailer there. But it's not something that we can just pull into the location and just have one person that runs it. We need about 5 to 6 people to run it. And if you've never been through an escape room, it's kind of what the interior is, because they're able to touch everything. It's not like you are able just to view it. You're able to actually search the room yourself. You're able to feel it, touch it. But once you walk out, we want to reset it and make it look exactly like it was before you walked in, so the next person has the exact same experience.
So it takes a crew to make this thing work.
Absolutely, it does.
Can you see a second such trailer on the horizon?
I think that would be a very easy sell if we could.
Okay.
It's tough to run just one trailer, but I think we could have a second trailer. And we're hosting a few officers from Benicia, California on October the 15th. They're flying in and they're building a trailer that's going to mirror our trailer, and they're taking it to California and they're going to do the exact same thing. We have people that are talking about this program, and we're very happy about it. It's what we wanted. Was not only just to provide it to the citizens of Iowa, but we want other people to take the lead on it in other states and give the children an opportunity to try to get their lives straightened back up.
All right, a quick response from both of you. Starting with you, Doug, you're a parent. Based on your experience with this trailer, what advice would you give out to parents in Iowa?
I think the best advice I could give is, as a parent, you are the first investigator in your own home. And you need to look at your own kids, and you need to help us try to straighten them up if we have that opportunity. And a lot of times a parent is an enabler. This time they have to put their foot down and say, we're here to help you and we want to raise you to be a good, productive citizen in the state of Iowa.
That's a great point. And Shauna?
I would play from that actually and say, be interactive with your kids and be involved. And then through that, it should come naturally, but don't be afraid to ask hard questions and have tough conversations when they're warranted. And as long as you're able to do both of those, really, I think it's a good formula for success. Of course, nothing is a guarantee, but it certainly is putting you on the right path.
Well, thank you very much for sharing all this information and the work you do for young Iowans. We appreciate it all. Thank you for joining us today, and keep your eye on Mediacom MC22 for our next episode, where we explore Iowa stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. Only on Surviving Bad on Mediacom MC22, your local programming leader.
If you or someone you care about are looking for help with treatment or recovery, there is help out there. Please visit these sites.